He attacked me because I was the leading force at the time in this on this topic. But his bullets were aimed at Zionists. His bullets were aimed at the Jewish existence in Jerusalem.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Within Zionism. Welcome to part 2 with Yehuda Glick. If you didn't hear part 1, go check that out. We are continuing. This is a continuation of, one big episode split into 2. In your life, you've done a lot. Different topics. We're not continuing where we left off. We're starting a new chapter of your life.
Yes, a very busy resume.
So you worked so hard your whole life to fight for your beliefs. But then in 2014, someone disagreed with you and attempted to end your career.
With quotation marks.
You said you're not a good storyteller, but can you try to share that story?
Yeah, he didn't try. First of all, he wasn't attacking me personally. He was attacking the idea that Jews have a right to Jerusalem or have a right to the Temple Mount. He attacked me because I was the leading force at the time in this on this topic. But his bullets were aimed at Zionists. His bullets were aimed at the Jewish existence in Jerusalem. What happened was we had an event in the Menachem Begin Center, Heritage Center, which is around half a mile away from the walls of the old city. We had an event there with like 300 people. The topic was Israel returning to the Temple Mount. Israel Chozeret LaHar. The event was a very, very exciting event. We had the rabbis and politicians and various different figures. And actually, we had figures from right and from left. We had some Christians and some Bedouins who were present at the event. At the end of the event, which was over at around 9:30, people went home, and I stayed around to fold everything up, to clean up the place. At around 10 o'clock, I had left the door of the institute. My wife had gone over to get the car to pick me up, and she drove, and she was actually already waiting for me at the entrance to the Begin Center. I walked out of the Begin Center, and right at the door was my wife with the car. As I was about to get into the car, I opened the trunk to put my bags there and to put some of the handouts that we had in my hand. And suddenly somebody approached me on a motorcycle, and he goes over to me and he says, "I'm sorry, and I looked at him what he'd say sorry for. I didn't understand who he was, what he wanted. And I got a little closer to him, and he said, 'You're an enemy of Al-Aqsa.' And point blank from 1 foot away, he shot 4 bullets to the center of my body. And he drove away. I was critically injured, taken to the hospital. I mean, I pretty much, at first I was still awake. I remembered what happened, and I tried to run. I had 2 people with me, 2 friends of mine who were very close to me, and they ran and called to call help. And I tried to get myself around until I got to a point where I pretty much fell down. And like a few seconds later, I lost conscience. I was taken to the hospital by an ambulance, critically injured. And pretty much my family were told to come to the hospital to say goodbye. There was pretty much a very low chance of my survival. But thank God, the Israeli medical physicians and the professionals worked on me for several hours. They saved my life, not before they had to amputate half of my lungs. They had to remove part of my intestines. I was, for like 10 days, connected to respiratory machinery. And after 10 days, they managed to stable my situation and remove me from the respiratory machinery. And then I was in the hospital for a total of a month. And then I went through another 3 months of rehabilitation. Thank God I'm alive. At the same time, when I was being operated on that night, I went through like 9 different operations that very first night. At the same time, the Israeli security authorities were trying to find the terrorist who shot me. And thank God at like 3 a.m., they knew who he was, and they came to his house. They tried to arrest him. He shot towards them, and they actually responded immediately. And thank God I'm alive and he's dead.
Wow, that's horrifying.
Wow. That's
have you
crazy
fully
story.
recovered?
I survived, as I said, I survived this attempt. But unfortunately, there was a victim of this attempt. Many people are not exactly aware of that. As I said before, my wife had come to pick me up, and she, who, before we married, she had already lost a husband. Her first husband passed away from cancer. So for her, this event was very, very traumatic. And she became extremely ill and was post-trauma. She was treated by top psychiatric medication by therapists, but unfortunately, after 2 years, she didn't survive. January 1st, 2018, she passed away. It was very, very painful to me. And we were married for 26 years. The relationship between us was very, very strong. Thank God, after a year of being a widower, I met my new wife. Her name is Hadass, and she was a widow for 17 years. She established an organization called Amitzim. Amitzim is the Hebrew acronym for Almanot Yetomim Tzeirim, which means young widows and orphans. She actually runs in Israel the organization, Young Widows and Orphans. 30,000 orphans in Israel. 98% of them are not from terror or from military, but actually from cancer, from heart diseases, from suicide, from automobile accidents, from crime. And my wife in her organization called Amitzim is very much involved in promoting and empowering these families of orphans that have gone through such a severe trauma.
Well, this sounds truly horrifying. Physically, have you fully recovered yet?
Look, as I said, my lungs have been half amputated, and I still have pain from my ribs. 7 of my ribs were broken at the time. I still suffer from pain, but first of all, the alternative of not surviving is definitely worse. But secondly, I mean, eventually you learn to function and to manage with the disabilities. For instance, I have difficulty in climbing stairs. I have difficulty in going up hills. I mean, my lungs are not very strong even now. When we're all walking around with masks, I have a letter from the doctor that I don't have to wear a mask because of my breathing situation. But most of the time, I'm with a mask, and I try to do whatever I can. My lungs, when I was released from the hospital, were functioning 30%. Today, they're already functioning 70%, but still, that's only 70%.
Where did the bullets enter?
As I said, I was shot from right up front, and so the bullets, thank God, did not hit any big blood vessel, not the heart, and not any other of the major blood vessels. But the major one was the lungs. I had one bullet that scraped part of my kidney and my liver, and I had, as I said before, 2 of them that actually caused some trouble with my intestines. That I went through surgery, and thank God nothing. Thank God I was really very, very lucky that pretty much in terms of my intestines, things have been pretty much back to normal. But one of the bullets managed to harm my spine bone, which thank God didn't hit my spine cord. But my spine bone until this very day also has suffered very painful backaches. But as I said again, all of those are things that you learn to cope with.
God willing, you should have a full recovery.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Emotionally, you said like physically you're more or less recovered, a few disabilities here and there. Emotionally, though, would you say you're recovered, or is there?
As I mentioned before, I lost my wife, and that's something you never recover from. And of course,
Right.
there are different psychological impressions that an event like that leaves upon you, the trauma, the fears, but thank God I'm stable.
That's good. That's good.
Wow. So after such a terrifying and unimaginable situation that happened to you, did that in some way fuel you that, like, the doctor said that there was, like, very little chance that you would survive? Does that now help you get up in the morning, help you say, God gave me this ability to still live? Does it now fuel your day-to-day work?
Definitely, I would say.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, how do you wake up every morning and keep fighting today?
Look, my eyes, I survived, and God saved my life. So I understand that He wants my mission to continue. He didn't think my mission was over. He felt that we have to continue. And till this very day, I try to do whatever I can. I teach on Facebook. I teach on YouTube. I try to connect people in the world to the importance of Jerusalem. And I think it's an ongoing mission.
So you said after a month you were already out of the hospital. Did you continue life right away, or were you like scared to walk? Like I would imagine, like if that would happen to me, I'd be like scared to walk out my front
Yeah,
door.
look, after a month I was out of the hospital, 3 months I was in rehabilitation. At the beginning, I had volunteer people who were sort of volunteer bodyguards. Later on, I received bodyguards from the Knesset when I became a member of the Knesset. When you take upon yourself to be a public figure, you know that there's certain dangers. I mean, I'm not that I do that in order to go into these dangers, but you know, if you can sit at home and do nothing, then you're not accomplishing anything. I take upon myself that there are some people going to compliment me, and some people are going to insult me, and some people are going to try to attack me. And I hope that
Haters are gonna hate,
haters are going to hate, right?
as
Yes.
they say. Yeah, it's really inspiring that, like, even through something like that, you could still wake up every morning and fight and stay strong. It's really, really inspiring.
Thank you. I hope to be worthy of these wonderful compliments.
So yeah, you said this happened in 2014, which was about 6 years ago. Looking back,
exactly. October 2014.
right? Oh, so wow, almost 6 years.
Almost 6
So
years.
looking back at it, do you look at it in a different way? Is there any reflecting back at it? What changed how you look at it then compared to now?
Thank God, many things have changed. I said before on the Temple Mount, in the past there was a lot of violence there. We've removed the violence there. We've brought more and more people to the Temple Mount. And then this is another thing. The other issue is that I'm very much involved in dialogue between different parts of the community and understanding the importance of democracy and understanding the importance of nonviolence. And that's something that, for me, I think that I saw in front of my eyes the dangers of violence. And I think this in itself was a very important lesson for me, the dangers of violence. I saw them in front of my eyes.
As a person who's been through the things that you've been through, what message would you want to send to the audience?
Look, God's name is Shalom. And Shalom does not only mean peace. Shalom means harmony, inclusiveness. Shalom means understanding that God created us differently, but we're all part of one God. We're all part of one puzzle. We're all part of one orchestra. And just like an orchestra, you don't have only violins. You have drums, and you have a guitar, and you have a cello, and you have a piano. And the idea of the conductor is to make sure that every one of them has its place, and together we create harmony. And I think that we all have to remember that God created us differently because He wants us to worship differently. God didn't press copy paste. He created us, every one of us, unique, and everybody has to worship Him in our uniqueness, and understanding that none of us are threatening each other, but vice versa. We should try to do whatever we can to cooperate. And this is the concept of worshiping one God. Worshiping one God means that we're all part of one big major effort to upgrade this world, to make it a better place to live, and to run a dialogue session of talking to each other and listening to each other, and not hating each other and not being violent, not using violence.
Great message. Yehudah's career is not over yet. He's taking a big step, running for president after Reuven Rivlin's term is up next summer, I believe.
Reuven Rivlin's term will be over in July. Somewhere around May, there will be elections. In Israel, you have to understand that the president's mission in Israel is not like the president of the United States. It's not a political job. It's not like in Israel, the prime minister is the one who's in charge of running the country. The president is in charge of the dialogue between the different parts, is in charge of the solidarity of the nation.
If you become the president, we'll have you on again, and you'll talk more about it. All right, it's been amazing having you on. Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye-bye.
That's a wrap of another thrilling episode of Within Zionism. Thanks for being with us once again. Sadly, Yehuda Glick had to go, so we couldn't do the wrap-up with him, but it was just crazy, remarkable story to have him on, and hopefully when he becomes the president, we will have him on again. You can find us everywhere you listen to podcasts, and even on our site, wzionism.com. Please subscribe to us wherever you listen to podcasts. Leave a comment, a review, a share. Send it to 3 new people who have not listened to it yet, 3 people who have listened to it yet. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Within Zionism. Also, new announcement, we have a merch store. Go to wzionism.com/store. For right now, we've got some fun things there. Go check it out. And thanks for being with us, guys. Stay safe and come back next week.
And stay safe and have a great day.